I think they take a chance on Caleb Farley. He's got immense speed, great ball skills. He was an opt-out. He hasn't played football in almost 2 years, but the tape shows Caleb Farley's a starter in the NFL right away. I think the Colts, they have Xavier Rhodes back on a one-year deal, but they need another corner. So I think Farley, they take a chance on him. At 22, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Jalen Phillips, edge rusher out of Miami. Played with Greg Rousseau, edge rushers together at Miami. And Jalen Phillips, there's some concerns with his commitment to football. He likes to rap on the side, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with him having other interests. But sometimes GMs, and I'm speaking for GMs sometimes will take that into consideration. Maybe they won't draft a guy because they're into, making music and doing other activities that may not have them fully committed to the game of football, right? But I think the Titans, Mike Vrabel, they take a chance on Jalen Phillips here. He could be the best edge rusher in this draft. I think Ojulari's a little more athletic, but Jalen Phillips has a ton of upside, and I think the Titans need that after losing Jadeveon Clowney in free agency. Not that he brought them much as an edge rusher, 0 sacks last year, but Jalen Phillips comes in. He needs to work on the run game a little bit. He's not really a great tackler in the run game, but I'll tell you what, his pass rushing could be the best in this draft. At 23, I have the New York Jets selecting Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue. I almost went Elijah Moore from Ole Miss, but I think Rondale Moore makes a lot of sense. Get Zach Wilson a deep threat, a guy that you can run jet sweeps with, and Rondale Moore could be a special teams threat for the Jets. So I think Rob Saleh and the Jets go ahead and get Rondale Moore. I think he watches 2018 tape at Purdue. Some of the best college tape I've seen in a while. I mean, Rondale Moore is a freak athlete. He's kind of undersized, but he's kind of reminds me of Devontae Smith, but that doesn't really matter. What he does on the football field, you can't cover it. So I think they get Zach Wilson a deep threat, and Rondale Moore goes to the Jets. 24, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting Najee Harris, running back out of Alabama. Another Alabama running back coming out in the first round. I think the Steelers, after losing James Conner in free agency, and their running game was dormant last year. They had no running game. I think they go ahead and take Najee Harris. I think he makes a ton of sense here. And honestly, to me, they could go defense, but I think they need to get a running game. Ben Roethlisberger's back at quarterback now. So I think they go ahead and scoop up Harris. At 24, 25, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting Samuel Cosmi, tackle from Texas. Cosmi is a stud. I think they go ahead and invest in the offensive line to protect Trevor Lawrence. There are some concerns about Cosmi's agility a little bit. Sometimes he gets beat because he's too flat-footed, but when he's on his target and he's able to get hands on you, he's tough to get by. I think he's a strong tackle. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to take him here at 25. 26, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting Zaven Collins, linebacker out of Tulsa. Zaven Collins is a guy, I don't think he's top 10, top 15 worthy. I think he's definitely a first-round pick. I think he's a stud, flat-out stud. I think he would help the Browns front seven a lot. You got Clowney. They just released, actually, Sheldon Richardson, but they got Myles Garrett. The Browns need a linebacker, so I think Zaven Collins makes a lot of sense at 26 for the Browns. At 27, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. Toney's a really good wide receiver. Definitely a first-round grade for me. I think his stats would have been a lot better if he wasn't playing with Kyle Pitts at Florida. He would get a lot more targets from Kyle Trask. But yeah, I think they go ahead and take this receiver. The Ravens just signed Sammy Watkins in free agency. They have Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown, but I think give Lamar Jackson another threat. Kadarius Toney makes a lot of sense here at 27. At 28, I have the New Orleans Saints selecting another wide receiver in this draft, Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. Bateman, to me, he's a physical specimen. He's got really good hands, and he's got good speed. Not elite speed, but he's got good speed. And the Saints released Emmanuel Sanders this offseason, and they have Michael Thomas, who had a down year last year. But I think they go ahead and get another weapon for Jameis Winston. I think Bateman would make a lot of sense for the Saints at 28. At 29, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting, actually a steal for the Packers here, Gregory Newsome, the second cornerback out of Northwestern. I know they brought back Kevin King on a one-year deal, but I think Newsome makes a lot of sense for the Packers. Him and Jair Alexander could have a chance to be one of the better duos in football at the cornerback position. Greg Newsome, to me, he's with Farley injured, he's probably the third best corner in this draft behind Horn and Surtain. With a healthy Farley, I think he's the fourth best corner, but don't get it twisted. He's a great football player, and I would not want to see him go to the Packers, but there's a chance he could slip. I could see him going in the top 15 or 20, but we'll see. And then at 30, I have the Buffalo Bills selecting Travis Etienne, running back out of Clemson. I might have butchered his last name. Sorry about that. But the Bills need to go running back. Etienne, I think he's a special running back. I think he could go at the 24 to Pittsburgh too, whichever one they prefer. And Harris could go to Buffalo, flip-flop. But this pick makes a lot of sense for the Buffalo Bills. They need a running game, so I think they go ahead and get Josh Allen, a running back out of Clemson. At 31, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Landon Dickerson, offensive lineman from Alabama. Listen, him and Alex Leatherwood could be first-round picks. I think they go ahead and beef up that offensive line. They signed Joe Thuney from the Patriots. They released Schwartz and Fisher, their 2 tackles. So I think they go ahead and get Dickerson and maybe play him at tackle or center. But he's a really good lineman. He's physical. He struggles a little bit in run blocking, but his pass blocking, and the Chiefs do a lot of that. He's going to have to block from Mahomes. I think it would be a really good pick. And then at 32, the final pick of the first round, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl champs, selecting Asante Samuel Jr., defensive back out of Florida State. His dad was a stud in the NFL for the Eagles. Asante Samuel Jr., he's a little undersized. He's more of a nickel, but he's a stud. He's a flat-out stud. I think he's the top 5 or 6 corner in this draft. And the Buccaneers, they just need a slot corner. They have Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting. I think he comes in and plays over Jamel Dean. And that's just another piece for Tampa's elite, dominant defense. So, that's my mock draft 4.0, my final mock draft. Draft coming up in a week and a half. I can't wait. I'm going to try to be live here on the Ringers podcast for the first round, give my thoughts on each pick, break down each pick, give analysis. Just excited, and I'm going to be watching rounds 2 through 7, obviously the whole weekend. I look forward to the draft. I love it so much. I'm really excited. But thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed my 4 mock drafts I put out the last couple months. I love doing mock drafts. They're a lot of fun. I could do 1,000 of them. But this is my final one here on episode 73 of the Ringers podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you soon.